One of the things that I mentioned that I really like about the movie is the visual style of the movie. If you are a follower of Del Toro's previous filmography, you can actually see a lot of the details that he has been working for many years. You see a little bit of Pan's Labyrinth in this movie, a little bit of Crimson Peak, The Shape of Water, the movie with which Del Toro won an Oscar a few years ago, and Nightmare Alley. So you can tell, actually, you feel that he has been working with similar topics, with similar themes, with a similar style, and is bringing everything together to the screen finally, thanks to Netflix.
Okay, Johnny, this one's got your number on it. Let's jam.
Hey everyone, and welcome to a new Minijam from Cinemajam. I'm your host, Sebastian Gomez, and today we are tackling a movie that has been 50 years in the making. It's big, it's Gothic, and it's finally here on Netflix. We are talking about Guillermo del Toro's Frankenstein. The synopsis from IMDb says Victor Frankenstein, a brilliant but egotistical scientist, brings a creature to life in a monstrous experiment that ultimately leads to the undoing of both the creator and tragic creation. As I mentioned in the intro, first let's set the stage. This isn't just another remake. It's Del Toro's lifelong passion project. The film stars Oscar Isaac as the brilliant but obsessed Victor Frankenstein and Jacob Elordi as the creature. The story tracks the classic tale of the scientist playing God, but with the distinct Del Toro flavor. Set against the backdrop of 19th century Eastern Europe, it co-stars Mia Goth as Elizabeth and Christoph Waltz as Elizabeth's uncle. As you can see in the trailer, you can see a very distinctive Gothic romance mixed with high budget. Del Toro's passion for these projects can be seen on the screen. It's a high budget, beautiful production. The acting is superb, and I especially like the settings where the Victor Frankenstein laboratory lives, the way the creature or the monster behaves. So it's a beautiful story. It is handled a little bit different from what we have seen in previous iterations of the story. I mean, this is a more than 150 years old story. The original book by Mary Chavis has been brought to the screen many times, and the creature, better known as Frankenstein, has been portrayed in many different ways and has inspired a lot of different creations. Even Star Wars has used that look. For example, there is certain inspiration on Frankenstein on the look and way that Darth Vader behaves. At least one of the things that I mentioned that I really like about the movie is the visual style of the movie. If you are a follower of Del Toro's previous filmography, you can actually see a lot of the details that he has been working for many years. You see a little bit of Pan's Labyrinth in this movie, a little bit of Crimson Peak. You see a little bit of the Shape of Water, with which Del Toro won an Oscar a few years ago, and also a little bit of a Nightmare Alley. So you can tell, actually, you feel that he has been working with similar topics, with similar themes, with a similar style, and is bringing everything together to the screen finally, thanks to Netflix. The cinematography by Dan Lowsten brings a lot of color to the screen. It's actually kind of refreshing because a lot of the latest blockbuster movies that we see in the movie theater are actually feeling a little bit modded with brown colors. In this color, we see a lot of contrasting colors in the screen. Everything looks super saturated. I actually love how, when in one scene you can see Victor Frankenstein with deep red glows. Elizabeth is wearing bright green dresses. So all the production in this movie is fascinating. is something that you don't really see as much. Even when you try to, last year, for example, Wicked and the new Wicked movie that is coming out this year, Wicked for Good, you could actually tell that a lot of the colors were mutated. Even main characters are that normally are supposed to be outstanding from the background tend to blend together. So a lot of movies are actually having this problem, and I really like that Del Toro is actually going against the current and is bringing everything to life. And you can tell there is a lot of digital production in the movie or digital effects, but you can also tell that there is a lot of physical stages, and the creature feels very. I mean, you can feel the makeup of the creature. There is only a few scenes where there was heavy use of CGI, but especially with some wolves, the wolves were completely made in computer graphics, and it's actually better because, to be honest, it's a very bloody fight, and you don't want to see a dog being ripped apart or peeled from the inside out with the skin. So it was actually better in this case that the wolves look a little bit cartoony, but the rest of the movie felt very real. I believe that Jacob Elordi is a highlight of the movie. I mean, this is a guy that, he's very handsome, so he has a lot of makeup in his face, but you can still see his eyes, and you can tell that, he's playing a character that is learning to live, that is everything is new to him. So, and he has a very physical presence and at the same time vulnerability that actually makes the character of the creature compelling to the viewer. When I was checking out some of the reviews online, I was actually surprised because the movie has actually two very distinct sections. The first part of the movie is actually Victor Frankenstein, Oscar Isaac, telling his story of, how he created the monster, why he created the monster. It's actually a very kind of cliche story about father and the sins of the father, and he's trying to create life basically to oppose his father. And the second part is the creature, and it's about, okay, why, he's discovering everything. Victor was everything for him, but then when he tried to destroy him, he had to learn about violence and how the world operates, and he didn't have that father figure to really guide him, and that's why he hates Victor, or he can actually not completely hate him, and it's actually an interesting, feeling that you can get. Actually, you connect more with the creature than with Victor. Although as I mentioned, I saw online that a lot of people prefer the first part where Victor, this basically Nepo baby, he has everything in the world and he's just wants to, go against the establishment. He's basically like a startup guy where he just wants to create something. It's like, there is actually a significant phrase at the end of the movie that when he decided to create the creature, his startup, you can say, he didn't realize the responsibility he had by creating life, right? And to be honest, I actually feel that that is something that is happening right now with AI, that they are pushing forward to creating artificial intelligence or general artificial intelligence. They don't the startups are not really realizing what are the implications of what is this bringing to the economy, the destruction or the chaos that is generating in the lives of normal people. It's actually kind of interesting to see that this movie can actually appeal to those problems and struggles that people are having. And the creature is the one paying the sins of the father, right? The sins of Victor Frankenstein. The movie is 2.5 hours long, and I actually didn't feel it as long, but a lot of people reacted negatively to the 2.5 hours. I actually felt that the movie needed at least 10 more minutes, especially to develop the romance between Elizabeth, Victor, and the creature. So this movie is bringing something interesting, very different from the previous stories about the previous story of Frankenstein, because Elizabeth is not getting married to Victor, he's getting married to his brother William, and there is hate-love relation between Elizabeth and Victor. So there is that triangle, but there is also the Elizabeth is someone that is fascinated by nature and finds the creature interesting, and it develops kind of a romance, but in the movie happens too fast. I think, I don't know if they actually shot it and they cut it for pacing, but I do believe that there are like 10 to 15 minutes that are missing in the movie. A lot of people think that the movie is too long already, but sometimes I think that, especially in that case, the relationship with Elizabeth, she's in and out too fast of the movie, and I think we're missing something there that could have bring it a little bit better. We have to be clear, Frankenstein is not really a horror movie, it's not really a horror story. There are monsters, there are creatures, but this is really a drama. This is more like a drama between a father and a son, and an abandoned child, basically. So you're not gonna find really like scare jumps or the traditional horror trappings of a traditional horror movie. I mean, there is a lot of atmospheric dread and action that happens in some parts of the movie. I mean, the creature is still a giant, terrifying. It's very strong, and he's actually hunting down Victor, and he's trying to get into a boat at the beginning and at the end. There is still some action to be had there, but it's mostly a drama. If we compare Frankenstein with other movies or similar movies from the same genre, for example, with the 1931 classic by Boris Karloff, Del Toro version is actually closer to the Mary Shelley novel, although they are adding a little bit of different themes. As I mentioned, the father theme is very heavy in this movie. And for example, in the novel, the creature's intelligence is there and it's closer in this movie. But the vibe, it actually feels a little bit more closer to Crimson Peak or The Shape of Water or Nightmare Alley, the latest movies, or a little bit actually of Hellboy as well, than other adaptations of Frankenstein. It has a lot of that high drama aesthetic where the design is actually a character itself of the movie. Do I think it's worth your time? I mean, if you love cinema, if you find that it's an art form and you like storytelling, I actually think you're gonna like it. And this is not a classical horror movie. This is a little bit slow paced compared to other horror movies or other monster movies, but I love it. I think it was worth it. I especially like the story, the second part, more than the first part. But I understand if people find it that they connect more with Oscar Isaac's story of Victor Frankenstein than the part of the creature played by Jacob Elordi. And I mean, I also want to recommend. There are other movies that have a little bit of similar stories. So my recommendation for this week for this mini jam is, for example, check out Poor Things. I think that's a good movie that has a similar topic where there is a woman that is bring to life. The Shape of Water, if you haven't watched Del Toro's masterpiece, that's another that has a little bit of a better or a little more happy ending, and it's a monster romance. It's quite interesting. And also, if you want to see something similar in the style, Crimson Peak from the Guillermo del Toro as well, I think it's also has a lot of themes in this movie. Okay, that's it for this mini jam. Let me know if on Instagram at Cinemajam Pod if you're Team Victor or Team Creature. Until next time, keep jamming about movies.